Superman's landmark issue, a new lantern ring, and Spielberg doing a superhero movie? Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic YOUniverse, the only nerd-centric thing you need in your life. C-Dubs and I back here again.
What's up, guys?
And we're going to do some potluck. Hope you all came hungry because we got some news for you. So kicking things off, we're going to do real quick our thoughts on Action Comics number 1000. Well, featuring Superman.
Right.
Action Comics number 1000, the landmark 80-page issue for Superman's 80th anniversary. And yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's great. Also, real quick, if you... Dubs, I'm going to let you take real quick on the contest we're doing. I know we did a video, but in case any newcomers are here.
So in addition to, obviously, being this landmark historical issue, we have 4 additional covers that we were not prepared for to show you guys.
Yeah, I was like... Oh, please keep that in.
Hey, oh, we will. We got 4 different covers, guys, that we are giving away. Okay. Basically, there's 2 ways to, win one of these covers. Basically, if you already subscribe to us on YouTube, you just have to get a friend to subscribe and shout you out, and you and them, if you're selected, will get a copy. And if you follow us on Facebook, all you have to do is jump on over to YouTube, subscribe, take a screenshot, and post it over on our Facebook page. Those are basically the ways to do it. We're going to choose 2 from YouTube and 2 from Facebook to give it away, basically, guys. But onto this historical, we're going to actually do a full in-depth review on it a little later. But we're just going to kind of talk about the fact that this comic book exists. You know, no other, especially the big 2 or 3 or 4, if you want, companies out there, comic book companies, have reached this milestone of 1,000 issues. And who better to bring it to us than the guy that started, this culture that we love. Regardless if it's debatable if he was the first superhero or not, but he's clearly the guy who brought us the culture.
Yeah.
And this comic is written by a bunch of different guys who
all top of their game writers.
Then a lot of them have wrote for Superman before and drawn for Superman before. So it's pretty cool to see everybody come together on this milestone issue. Me and DPZ here were talking that sometimes when it comes to a certain book, sometimes it's great to go off with a bang, and sometimes it's great to just have a nice, simple story. And this is one of those where we get a couple of nice stories that just kind of fit together. It is kind of like a hodgepodge, if you will.
Yeah.
Little quick open and close little insights into who Superman really is. And a lot of people don't get Superman, so it's kind of cool to see all these guys bring us their interpretations.
Yeah.
Any thoughts you want to add to that?
Other than, I think that everyone they got on here, even though some of their, some people on this book have, like Brad Meltzer, he did a story with John Cassidy, who did the artwork. And granted, I'm not a big fan of what his DC event, Identity Crisis, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I did enjoy that story. There was no story I was like, that's stupid. There was no, really weak story for me.
I would agree. With that full-heartedly. And it is kind of cool that moving forward with Action Comics, they're not going to start off with a number 1. They're going to be just continuing the number process, which I just found out today, which is kind of awesome, I think. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll do the same with Detective Comics, because that's going to be,
if there's going to be a comic that, is bigger than that, we know
it's going to be Detective.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Superman, he has been eclipsed by Batman, so just the way the world is, But yeah, that's pretty awesome. Definitely, guys, if you want that copy, this is how to get it. And there are plenty of variant covers out there. We only have 4 of them, so guys, best of luck. And I guess we're gonna move on with the DC news. Keep sticking with DC.
We're going to be talking about Scott Snyder has announced that for his coming Justice League run, which I'm still I don't know, I'm still kind of because Snyder can be very hit and miss with me.
True.
But he's only written, the Batman was the big one. He's written some Superman comics before, but he's never really, there hasn't been a lot of times where he's, actually written a lot of other DC characters. And the other interesting thing is that this is pretty much the Justice League universe, DC animated universe
Right.
lineup, including Cyborg and Aquaman.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it's interesting to note that there's going to be a new lantern in the emotional spectrum, the Ultraviolet Lantern.
Yes, which is also a play on what it actually does to its host, if you will, or to its wearer, which makes them ultra-violent. Which does seem kind of redundant, some of us have kind of pointed out.
Yeah, because we already have the Red Lanterns.
Right, which is obviously aggression and anger. But it will be kind of interesting. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of change to that. I mean, and again, violence is a little more so than, if you will, just anger. So it's actual causing of destruction and stuff like that. So I think there'll be more of a focus in that area. But it's going to be pretty cool. The design of the lantern or design of Jon Stewart and, don't mind Mikey, he's just getting a little restless, of Jon Stewart and, the kind of color spectrum of what it does to the face is kind of cool. I'm digging it so far, and we'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out,
Yeah. My thing is that it kind of like how it's kind of like, oh, it makes people ultraviolet and all that. I was like, so it's like the ring is like a symbiote.
Yeah, it's what it kind of seems like it's going to be.
Especially like when it did to John, it does to John's face.
Yeah. We'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can kind of see that image if you haven't. As well as we'll have links to the contest that we talked about a minute ago too. I'll keep all that for you guys there. But yeah, it is pretty cool to kind of see what it's doing to his face. And personally, he's my favorite Green Lantern, so I'm going to kind of be really interested to see what happens with him. And he's kind of a sophisticated, even though he's military based, he's a little sophisticated, so it'd be kind of cool to see him lose control.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah. So staying on with DC news, some DC movie news, which is pretty much let's throw stuff against the wall and let's see what sticks.
Amen. All right.
That's how it goes. Now there was an announcement for a Birds of Prey movie, and that Kathy Yates who I have no idea of her director list, that she's going to be directing Birds of Prey, but we don't know how long that is. So I didn't really want to touch on that for too long because it's pretty much musical chairs. But however, there is a lot of hope for what did also get announced. And that is Steven Spielberg, that guy who did Jurassic Park and E.T. and all that. Well, he's doing a DC film.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
And not just any. And you may be thinking, oh, is it Batman? Is it Superman? Which, by the way, a Spielberg Superman movie? That'd be great.
That might work. Not a Batman. I wouldn't go for the Batman. I would go for Superman.
But honestly, I think who he's directing, or producing, it's in the air, and we'll get to that in a moment. But it's Blackhawks.
Right.
Which, if you don't know what Blackhawks are, the Blackhawks were this, in the DC Universe in World War II, they were this aerial squadron that did like high-risk missions throughout World War II. And I gotta say, that's perfect for
Right.
Spielberg. I mean, if you've seen like Saving Private Ryan and
Indiana Jones.
yeah, especially I really hope there's an Indiana Jones to this movie.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunity for them to actually go in that route, and it's just a lot of fun, high adventure, a little bit of espionage, a little bit of Black Ops and Daredevil action with the jets, if you will, the planes, the biplanes. So there's a lot that they can actually kind of be focused on, and you've even mentioned a couple of ideas on maybe some things they can hint to being a part of that time frame.
Yeah, like I'd love to see Sergeant Rock make a cameo
Right.
or a reference to the JSA.
And the more after you saying that, I was thinking that this could be kind of a way for DC maybe to fix itself. And again, no disrespect to any of the fans of the DCU out there, EU out there, but clearly they have not lived up to their potential. But this would be just kind of just stay away from what's current timeline, if you will. Just focus maybe on a little more in the past. Wonder Woman did so great, and it was, went back into the past. So maybe this is a way, and it's kind of maybe the JLA, like you said.
And this is apparently Spielberg wanted to do this movie for years.
Yeah.
Like, this is something he's wanted to do, and DC was like, at this point, like, please.
Yeah, we need some sort of help. So yeah, I mean, I'm down for that. I think it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing is that, I know a lot of people said, like, oh, Mel Gibson directing Suicide Squad 2, but that didn't happen. But what gives us a lot of hope for me is that DC on their site, and even Warner Brothers, was like, yeah, Spielberg's totally doing this. And they wouldn't do that unless they had total faith in that. And Spielberg wouldn't touch anything that is, like, damaged in a way. So to have him, like, go up to DC and say, this is what I want to do.
Right.
So, also another thing, it's Spielberg. Just DC, Warner Brothers, don't touch it.
That's the key here. Can they do that? Can Warner Brothers not stick their meddling fingers in and start stirring the pot?
I think with a name like that and, you know, the state they're in, I think it would be a smart move to just let because it's Blackhawks. There's no real, like, major story arc or anything like that. I mean, they're a cult favorite character, and they showed up in Dark Knight's Metal, but that was about as far as we go. So I think it would be a smart move just to let him do whatever he wants, and that can be what everyone follows with that. And
I do hope, again, that it does, like I said, maybe open up a whole new genre to the superhero film where we can see it dated, you know, going back to the 30s and any further, or wherever it lands in the timeline. But like you said, just to kind of see those old characters that will never get a shine in the modern time frame.
Yeah.
Maybe this is their niche. Maybe this is where they can go and eclipse the juggernaut of, you know, Marvel and Disney.
yeah,
You know, have their own, you know, timeline, and again, you know, it's different enough to work, you know.
Yeah.
And with Spielberg helming the way of that could be something great.
yeah. And again, I don't think Spielberg would take a gamble unless he knew what he was, like, he had an idea for it.
Right. And regardless, his name alone will bring people to watch it, like Nolan, like whether it's a good movie or a bad movie.
Because not everything Spielberg's done is.
Right, but every movie Spielberg does, people are going, oh, let me check it out. You know, they're not willing to write him off.
Yeah.
So,
you know, like a certain movie that came out earlier this year that he did that you hogged, you know.
I loved.
Yeah, that you dragged me and forced me to watch.
Again, it was not the storyline I didn't care about in that movie. We're talking Ready Player One. It was more so just all the Easter eggs that I liked.
Yeah.
No pun intended to that movie.
So, yeah.
Sticking with DC news, we got some more Lantern news.
Yeah, and this is referring more to the comics. Apparently, a new writer is going to be in charge for the Green Lantern comics, and it's none other than the madman himself, Grant Morrison.
Right, exactly. When you told me this in the news, I was like, well, he is a weirdo, so, and space can get kind of weird sometimes, so maybe this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and like he's done Green Lantern comics in the past before. Like he created a smallpox virus that became a Green Lantern. I say again, he made a smallpox virus into a Green Lantern.
My point exactly. Sometimes being a weirdo is exactly what you need, you know,
Yeah.
and he is, you know, he's done some great things. He's done some off-the-wall interpretations of things.
He did probably the best Superman story of all time.
I would agree with that. That's my favorite, so.
Of course, All-Star Superman.
All-Star, yeah, of course. And, well, I mean, I'm down. I'm willing to give it a shot, see what he brings to the table. You know, obviously, if it's not good, well, fans will be quick to be like, no.
But I think it's interesting to note that this is the first time in a long time he's done, like, an ongoing comic. The last time he did that was Action Comics when New 52 came out, and that was about it. So to see him come back to monthly comics is really interesting, because all he's been doing lately is just like graphic novels. He's also doing his sequel to A Serious House on Serious Earth, the Arkham Asylum comic, which is going to be set in the Damian Wayne Batman timeline.
You have me intrigued.
Yeah. So I love Grant Morrison. I won't defend everything he's written, but his Justice League, you know, his Justice League run in late 90s, 2000, it's fantastic. All-Star Superman, of course. He's done a lot more good than bad.
Yeah,
honestly.
I would agree. Absolutely.
So to have him on Green Lantern is going to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm with you. So definitely, guys, let us know what you think about, you know, all this Green Lantern news and movie news with Spielberg. But we still have one more bit of DC.
Well, two more.
Oh, yes, two more.
So I guess to keep up with, just real quick, with Grant Morrison going to be taking over Green Lantern, another DC writer, Brian Azzarello, will be taking over Suicide Squad.
Right.
Which is kind of perfect for him, even though I'm not the biggest Brian Azzarello guy. I think he goes a little too edgy sometimes.
Yeah, I get. Well, I mean, and if you are going to go edgy, that is the comic to do it, though. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's the.
It might be perfect for him then.
Yeah, I mean, I like his Joker graphic novel,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other times I was like, okay, Brian, this is too. And he's also kind of an asshole. Like when he wrote the, I don't know if you knew this, but when they showed the Killing Joke animated film at Comic-Con, and someone said like why did you do that to Barbara? That whole long prologue. Brian Azzarello got up and said, "Say that again, you pussy." I was like, wow.
I'm actually on the side of I enjoyed that movie though. By the way, but
I'm not. I guess what side I'm on. Not that side.
yes, I don't think Batman is a father figure to her. Some people do. I don't think so. She has a father, and it's Gordon, not Batman.
So
that's
so she gets the bat dick all the time.
Hey, Terry McGinnis, it's already happened in that universe. I was already prepared for it, so it was nothing new to me. And I always view her, not to get off the topic here, but I always view her more again as admiring him more so than looking up to him. So anyway, moving on.
So last bit of DC news, there was a lot this week. Last bit of DC news is a crossover that was announced earlier a week, like Monday, and it is a crossover between He-Man and the Masters of the Universe and Injustice. Yeah,
that is freaking awesome. That's all I gotta say about that. I have a lot more to say, but that is awesome. When you told me that and I read about it, I was like, wow, I can't believe it.
So this is going to be done by Tim Seeley, who most of you guys would know best as the guy who wrote Nightwing. He's also been doing a lot of stuff for DC, and he also wrote one of my favorite indie comics, Hack Slash. This is going to be done by Freddie Williams III, and who also did He-Man, Thundercats, and Batman TMNT. And this is also going to have, it's also kind of a sequel to He-Man, Thundercats.
Which is pretty cool, and that's going to pique my interest a little more. But just that the Injustice universe has done a really fantastic job of creating, a whole new timeline has been interesting, has stayed interesting, and it still is interesting. We get a lot of different things from the multiverse, that kind of have these waves, and sometimes they drop off and we never see them again, and nothing out of the multiverse I think has lasted as long as this has and has stayed as popular, because even like Earth 2 and things like that, it was around and it has its characters and things like that, but it kind of, again, it dips. Sometimes people's like, oh, have you heard what happened? This is great, or they'll change a character or whatever for, the new 52, so it was kind of interesting. For instance, like when Green Lantern, they made him the Earth 2, Alan Scott, that he was gay, which is no big deal, but it was a big deal at the time, so it's like, it made it interesting, and then it kind of faded off into nothingness, and Earth 2 kind of does that. This is a universe that has stayed popular since its incarnation, and of course the video game does help, but I think it's still as popular as it is today as when it started.
Yeah, and Injustice is, again, we have a super, and this isn't the first time I should mention that He-Man and DC have crossed over.
Right.
There was in DC Comics Present number 85, where pre-Crisis Superman and He-Man fought, and they fought to a standstill.
Yes.
And then we had, in New 52, the Masters of the Universe crossover with the New 52 universe. And now it's the Injustice universe, a Superman that doesn't hold back.
I was just gonna say, this is a bloodthirsty, take no one lightly type of Superman.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of interesting on how it actually goes now that he's willing to go all out, and if he can push He-Man, because I would assume if anyone's gonna push back, it's gonna be the likes of He-Man.
Yeah. The other thing is that it's gonna be interesting to see all these characters meet up, like. The whole story is that Batman goes to Eternia to get E-Man to fight Superman. So I'm wondering where in the timeline this takes place.
And if it'll actually be canon to its own universe.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of weird if it's not canon within its own universe. That'll make me a little sad. But I do hope that it is full canon. And what else is kind of awesome about this news is that that once he makes it to the pages, once we see He-Man in the pages of Injustice, it's... by the next game, everyone's going to be like, He-Man has to be in.
I was just about to get to that, where I have the sneaking suspicion that this is their way of saying He-Man's the next guest character for Injustice.
Which is funny, because as of right now, there's supposedly no more downloadable packs, they're saying. But there's also been some small news a couple weeks ago that when the final edition came out for Injustice, which had all the downloadable characters, on PC, people found a file basically talking about another group of characters called the Zero Pack, because there was only supposed to be 4 packs, so going 0 kind of alludes to that. And some people were hoping for like Beast Boy and things like that, and Rorschach. Maybe this is how Superman. Like maybe we'll get him in this version, which will be bonkers. Like Ninja Turtles and He-Man in the same and Hellboy in the same game. Come on, how awesome is that?
Yeah, just pure insanity right there. And also, you know, I'm hoping for, and this is a throwdown I really want in this comic, She-Ra and Wonder Woman throwing down.
Oh, dude, if she's in it too, that's even.
Yeah,
because that's also a Wonder Woman who's not holding back either.
Yeah.
So not that she ever really does, but you know what I mean.
I'm wondering where Skeletor's gonna fall into this, and you know, Hordak and all of them, where they're gonna fall in.
You know, will they even take any part in this story?
Will they join the regime and all that, or something to that degree?
I would find it a little hard for either Hordak or Skeletor to willingly follow anyone's orders. I can see them being like Skeletor being like a little pansy about it at first, but like kind of Starscreaming his way through the issue. Yeah. Always trying to foil what Superman. And that, who knows, how funny would that be if the reason why He-Man wins is because Skeletor did something. Yeah. You know? And now he owes him one. Now that would be fantastic. It's like Batman working with the Joker. It just doesn't make sense, but it does happen from time to time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this. It comes out in July. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. I'm already in.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. In fact, probably the next time I go to Coliseum Comics, I'm going to probably pre-order it. Yeah, I just can't miss that one.
Yeah.
It's going to be dope.
So any last thoughts on that before we move on?
My mind is blown. That's my last thoughts on it. That's the best news out of the week, in my opinion, to me. Again, the first superhero that has ever affected my life was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe as a kid, born in the 80s. It was my favorite thing. I had almost every action figure, so it's just fantastic news that he still, to some degree, has some relevance.
And to be a part of now a very popular game series.
Yeah, right? What? I can't even... And listen, NetherRealms, okay, if by chance you come across this, if you are bringing us He-Man, and he is awesome, and he makes you guys a ton of extra money of everyone going out and buying that Ultimate Edition, okay... We want a Masters of the Universe fighting game. That's your next thing. There you go. After Mortal Kombat 11, you can take a break on the Injustice. Just bring us that, because that alone has enough wacky characters that would be insane. And guys, could you imagine, just imagine for a second, Masters of the Universe fighting game.
Oh, God. I can't, like all the characters, like...
Freaking Trapjaw, Too Bad, Man-at-Arms, freaking Ram Man, dude. It would be amazing. Anyway, I guess we can move on.
I guess we'll move on now to the Marvel stuff. So first off, we're going to talk about the Deadpool 2 trailer a little bit and some possibilities we saw in there. And
yeah, some of you guys may know, some of you guys may not. But if you really watch the Deadpool second trailer with a final trailer. The final trailer. If you watch it with a fine-tooth comb, maybe frame by frame. There's a scene where Colossus seems to be throwing a massive punch to an object that is very round, dome-like, and it's not budging. And in fact, when he hits him, there seems to be some sort of ripple effect going within his own armor. So apparently what he punched had no effect, and there's only one character I really come to mind.
And you could say he's unstoppable?
Exactly, and especially... Once that momentum is going, anything going this way is going to go that way. So it seems like, and a lot of people have and the internet is up trying to figure this out, that there's a possibility that the Juggernaut is going to be in this film.
Which I'm all for. Like,
hell yeah.
Especially if it's like the Juggernaut we wanted,
Yes.
And, the Kane Marco we all know.
Mr. Kane Marco. I hope he's not a mutant. I hope they don't go that route.
Well, I think they'll have to make him a mutant because, again, the whole Cyttorak's still under Marvel.
I hope they don't... I hope he's not a mutant, but if he is, I will deal with it as long as we get a... And it's not that even though that film was bad, the last Juggernaut we got was passable at best. But if we get a real unstoppable monster... But again, with the team that they have, that you see in the actual, like, on Deadpool's team. I just can't see anyone stopping him. So
him and Colossus throwing down is going to be awesome.
Oh my god, yes. And if we can't get Wolverine and Hulk fast enough, this will probably be the next best thing, to be honest with you. And like I said it before, I'm not, and he knows this, I am not a Deadpool fan. In the comics, just not my thing. I'm not big on fourth wall breaking. I read comics to escape my reality, not to remember reality still exists, you know. But that's neither here nor there. But I do, and I am an advocate for the first movie. I go on record saying it's one of the best comic book movies, period, to date. And we also know how much I hate Fox Marvel. So again, for me to say that is big. So I'm super excited for this film. It's fantastic. And if we get a scene with Deadpool riding Juggernaut, I will go down and say this is the greatest superhero movie ever made. I don't care how great Infinity War is. To see Deadpool riding Juggernaut might top anything the Infinity Gauntlet can give me. Yeah, I'm not saying that for sure, but it just might be the greatest thing I've ever seen. Think about it.
I mean, the other thing what I've liked about the trailer so far is that this is the final trailer, and even then, like, it's not like with the Jurassic World trailer that showed you everything.
Right.
The Deadpool trailers have been like, they show you some of the story, but they don't tell you, like, right to your face, this is the whole plot.
Right. Basically, we're trying to protect this kid. That's really all I know. You know.
We don't know why. We don't know why Cable's after him.
Yeah. Well, we kind of have an idea. He probably caused the destruction of his timeline.
We don't know, like, how.
Isn't that always what Cable's doing, though?
The other thing is, like, Shatterstar, we showed up. And you wanted to talk about that?
I did. I just want to touch bases on it. Just if we're going to hammer DC for their poor choices in some of their costuming, if you will, that kind of comes and goes. I don't want to leave, Marvel out of the realm of, I just want to be fair. So anyone who hasn't seen it, again, I'll leave a description, or I'll leave an image down below for you guys to see a link. Shatterstar in the film, in the words of the immortal Deadpoolzilla, at least they tried.
Yeah, I said that. I was like, at least they tried,
It's very similar, and it looks almost authentic in the terms of the aesthetics of it, but they go with like an all-white motif, which is kind of weird. Maybe makes him kind of look like he was in an insane asylum almost. It seems too sterile.
To be fair, Shatterstar's costume's not easy to pull off.
That is very true too, and I for them staying so authentic to the Deadpool costume, and especially down to the eyes, they easily could have made cutouts and seen Ryan Reynolds' eyes, and they didn't. So for them to stay so authentic, I understand why they're trying to stay authentic. I think it's more so just the color scheme, and who knows, again, in the film it may look a lot better, and there may be a reason why it's all white head to toe. But it's, again, at least they tried, but it is a little frustrating when you can go to any convention out there and probably see someone who pulls it off better on a shoestring budget. And that's just my biggest gripe with all of Hollywood that makes these comic book movies, that I've seen better in person with someone who works at the likes of Burger King budget. I don't know.
Someone with actual heart.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes that's what is missing out of some of the designs that we get from these comic book movies is they lose some of the heart and focus of the source material. And I get it, wanting to bring your own spin, and any seamstress and any creator and designer want to have their own flair. They don't want to just recreate the next man's work. But again, it is pretty interesting. We want to know what you guys think, if you guys like it, if you guys hate it, if it's enough for you to boycott the movie, which I doubt. Because again, just think of the idea of Juggernaut or Deadpool riding Juggernaut, because that's definitely a possibility.
But not that way. But in that kind of way.
Universe, you should be not thinking that way. But we're gonna stick with some more news.
Juggernaut news.
Marvel and Juggernaut news. So the new Thor run, who's running again?
Jason Aaron.
That's it, Jason Aaron.
Yeah, he hasn't stopped his run.
Right,
that's the thing. Like,
so in the new run, starting off with number 1, we're going to get an epic battle of grave proportions, which we have seen in the past, but it's always good to kind of see it. We're getting the Juggernaut versus
Thor.
How awesome is that? And unfortunately, it was kind of spoiled in some of the imagery that was leaked already, that Thor's hammer is getting shat again. but not in the way you would think. Normally, someone grabs it and crushes it. No, it's shattered with him striking Juggernaut with his hammer. And just that panel alone blows my mind.
Yeah, I was like, you just got it. Well, it could reform or something like that because he just got the hammer back. You know,
True.
For all we know, this could be a giant dream sequence.
It could, but I also think that what's going to happen is that they're going to bring the hammer that is in the new Guardian or in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that's what they're going to end up giving him, their version of that. At least it's a marketing tool. That's what I think. That kind of makes me sad, but just the idea of the strike to his helmet and the metal just going boom to a million pieces. Just imagine how hard he was hitting him, and there was probably no damage made. That's what's so great about the idea of the two of them going at it. And though it's a comic book, and 9 times out of 10 the hero always wins, almost 10 times out of 10 he finds a way to win. I just, for the life of me, can't figure out how you stop the Juggernaut if you're not the Hulk. That's really the only thing. The only person I see consistently stopping him myself.
And even then, that's a tough one.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. It's never an easy task done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, any thoughts on that? You excited?
I'm excited. Jason Aaron's been killing it on his Thor run with the recent passing of Jane Foster and
Rest in peace.
And honestly, I know a lot of people are interested in Bendis writing Superman, but after there's so much parallels with Thor and Aaron's run, I'm like, can we get Jason Aaron to go to DC and write Superman?
Well, that would mean Marvel would have to lose him, and I don't know if they're prepared for that.
Yeah, he's now one of their major guns.
Right, exactly. Well, guys, yeah, definitely let us know. Have you seen that? And again, we'll leave some of those images down below, links to see them. And let us know if you guys are excited about this, if you guys have been up to date with Thor, if you're maybe going to give it a shot now that we're getting this battle. Issue 1, which is, if you're going to kick off something, that's a pretty damn bang to start,
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a free Comic Book Day issue and see more of that.
Oh yeah, that could be. And Comic Book Day is right around the corner, actually. So
I just realized that we are
next week or the week after.
Less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And trust me, we will be covering that.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. We're gonna go together to our local comic book shop and raid it, if you will.
I'm just gonna be walking out of the whole bag. It's like they only said take 4. I took 4.
100.
Oh man, but anyway, so there's a bit about that. And the last bit of news is neither Marvel nor DC. It's actually more movie news in regards to a certain book series that I used to read as a kid, and subsequently,
never heard of them.
Well, you've never heard, but your wife has.
My wife, yeah, she was apparently a big fan. She's the one that presented me with the news, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is like the greatest thing." And I'm like, "What?" And she told me about it. I was like, yeah. Other than the person doing it, I'm okay. I never heard of it.
Yeah. So the Scary Stories to Tell is Tell in the Dark is an anthology book series which were full of these really grotesque images in the book, and they were really creepy. They were like creepypasta before the internet was a thing.
Okay.
That's behind that. Yeah, that's what it was. It was pretty much creepypasta.
Like urban legends and things like that.
Yeah. Well, more like just creepy stories and all that. So yeah, it's pretty much creepypasta in book form. That's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And it's going to be directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Awesome.
That guy who won an Oscar for having fish fucking.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to use it that way, I guess that is what he did. But besides that, I mean, the dude, since day one, has been giving us awesome monsters. From the Mimic to Hellboy to
Pacific Rim.
Pacific Rim, yeah. I mean, the guy, the Pale Man with the eyeballs in his hand and Pan's Labyrinth. I mean, the guy is amazing. He truly, truly is. He has a vision, and there's still hopes that maybe one day we'll get a DC Dark Justice League.
Yeah,
with
Justice
him
League.
involved. Him involved in it to some capacity.
Yeah.
Anyone else will do it no justice in comparison, no pun intended. But this guy is just amazing, and if you aren't up to date with his work, definitely, I can't, just find a movie with his name on it and watch it. I guarantee you'll probably like it.
The other thing is that this is apparently part of his new deal with Warner Brothers, because he's signed on to he's actually heading about 10, 20 films with them. He's already got movie deals with them. Because it's like, you won us 5 Oscars. Please stay.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's also some other news that I read this past week. It wasn't major. They didn't give any insight as to why, but he's also doing sort of an exclusive deal also with DreamWorks to bring them some animated work.
Yeah, and he's already he's doing Troll Hunters on Netflix.
Yeah.
That was his brainchild.
So he's going to be doing some more apparently with Netflix and DreamWorks. So that'll be pretty cool to kind of see him in animated form expand a little more. Which I've seen a few episodes of Troll Hunter. It's okay. It's not too terrible. I mean, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
It's not like the greatest animated cartoon I've ever watched, but it's alright. It does the job.
So I think this is really cool. I mean, this has been like something he's wanted to do for years. This film, I mean, and I can only imagine what he's going to come up with, because that is some scary ass material in those books.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It'll be interesting to see what rating we get with someone to the level of his mind, the way his mind works. And
it's going to be R-rated, I can already tell you.
Yeah, but there's a fine line. I mean, I'm sure it may come out and be R-rated at the very end, but I'm sure there may end up having to be a lot of work on editing to keep it from going into that X rating or NC-17 rating.
I don't think it'll go that. It'll just be an R-rated film. And
I just meant, if he has free reign, he could end up pushing the limits just a little too far.
I don't think he will. That's the thing, is that Del Toro, unlike Robert Rodriguez or Quentin Tarantino, he knows when to stop. That's the other thing, is that he knows where the cutoff is.
The threshold. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, I don't think it'll be released at any of those ratings, but I think worst case scenario, there'll be some heavy editing.
Yeah. The other thing that's going to be interesting is that in the books aren't very big, nor are they the stories are very long, 2 pages max. So I'm wondering how many sequences he's going to have, or if it's just going to be original sequences and it's just going to be the title and nothing from the books,
right?
Which could be the easy.
I mean, it could also just be an anthology movie where it tells a bunch of
right.
different stories.
I think that's what it is that it's going to be an anthology film.
Okay, that's pretty cool, I guess. I can get behind that. And again, anything with his name attached to it, I'm all in until he shows me something that I don't like, to be honest with you guys. So
yeah.
So definitely let us know, YOUniverse, what you guys thought of that and what you thought about all the news, and we'll leave all the links to all these articles and whatnot, so you guys can kind of get up to speed if you're not already. And any final thoughts on anything?
No.
Awesome, guys. Well, we'll see you next time
in the YOUniverse.